शिव बहु कोटि चंद्राजिनी वदन उज्ज्वला शिव बहु कोटि चंद्रजिनी वदन उज्ज्वला राधे से बनमाला करे जलमाला राधे से बनमाला करे जलमाला शिवा शिवा सुख नाराला प्रेमे गरा गरा शिवा शिवा सुख नाराला प्रेमे गरा गरा कहते विनोद देखे गुरार संपारा कहते विनोद देखे गुरार संपारा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Prarekacharya Asata Shrimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Prarekacharya Asatara Satashi Shrimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavindi Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna, Gopi Gopinath, Shyam Kun, Radha Kun, Giri Govardhan Ki. Prem Shri Gahor Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vindiki. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi ki, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki, Ganga Mai ki, Yamuna Mai ki, Vrindavan Dhami ki, Mayapur Dhami ki, Jagannath Puri ki, Transcendental Book Distribution ki, Hari Nam Sankirtan ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees and all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Namaste Narasingmaya. Pralada Lada Daine. Hiranyakashipu Raksha. Shiladanganagalaya. Ido Nashima Bharato Nashima. Yato yato yamida do Nashima. Vahe Nashima Hridaye Nashima. Narashima Madim Sharanam Prapade. Tavagara Kamalavaye Nakam Adbhuta Shringa. Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa. Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Nrsimhade Jaya Nrsimhade Jaya Nrsimhade Jaya Nrsimhade. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gora Haribol, 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 Nitai Gora Haribol. Nitai Gora Premanande. Prahlad Maharaj ki jai.
All the Sunday school kids can go to the other side. Those who are registered. They are not registered, they can be in the reception or they can be here, but no sounds. Everybody can move forward for the class now. Stand together. పెట్టిందే కదా అనుకుంటా
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gope Janabalava Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janabalava Girivardhari Yasharanana Bhajana Ranjana Yasharanana Bhajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gol Premanande
Yeah, Vishnupad, Paramahansa Parivajikacharya, Stotara, Sada, His Divine Grace. A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled, all glories to assembled, all glories to assembled. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naranam Namaskrityam Eva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayat Mudirahe Nasta Praheshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistake. Reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 6. Chapter is titled Dhyana Yoga. Text number 41. You can close the gift shop. There's somebody there. Yoginam api sarvesham madagata antaratmana Shraddha yomam yukta mata Yoginam api sarvesham madagatarantaratmana Shraddhavan bhajate yomam Same yuktotama mataha. Anybody else would like to chant? Adgate antaratmana Saddhavan bhajate yamam Same yuktotama mata Yoginam api sarvesham Madgate antaratmana Saddhavan bhajate yamam Same yuktotama mata Api sarvesham Madgate antaratmanam Saddhavan bhajate yomam Same yuktotamo mata Madgate antaratmanam Saddhavan bhajate yomam Same yuktotamo mata Bhajate yomam Same yuktotamo mata. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada. So Prabhupada ki jai. And of all yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. Lord Krishna is mentioning this. Purport. The word bhajate is significant here. Bhajate has its roots in the word bhaj, which is used when there is need of service. The English word worship cannot be used in the same sense as bhaj. Worship means to adore or to show respect and honor to the worthy one. But service with love and faith is especially meant for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can avoid worshipping a respectable man or a demigod and may be called discourteous. But one cannot avoid serving the Supreme Lord without being thoroughly condemned. The entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus it serve the Supreme Lord by his own constitution. Failing to do this, he falls down. The Bhagavatam comes this as follows. Ya esham purusham sakshat atma prabhavan ishwaram na bhajanti avajanati stanat brashta patanti adha. Anyone who does not render service and neglects his duty onto the primeval Lord, who is the source of all living entities, will certainly fall down from his constitutional position. Om Agnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurmitan Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sujita Padakamanam Shri Guru Vaishnavansya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathavitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Paryana Saitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanto Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavane Vayo Vaishnavi Vyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yoginam api sarvesham madakata antaratmanam saddhavan bhajate yomam samayuktatamamataha. And of all yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, is the most intimately united with me in yoga, and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. Hold on a minute. First of all, we'd like to wish you all a very happy New Year. Happy New Year, happy 2023. The first day of this new year, 2023. May Shri Radha Shyam Sundar brings all good fortune to you and your family and keeps you inclined in serving the Supreme Lord. In these particular words, we talk about the perfection of yoga, right? I think we should turn off one of the lights. It's too much glaring. I'm blinded. I cannot see anybody. Yes, side mirror. Yeah, side mirror. That's good. That's good. That's good. Thank you. So we're talking about Lord Krishna summarizes Bhagavad Gita in chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized. And then he talks about Karma Yoga in 3rd chapter, Jnana Yoga in the 4th chapter, again Karma Yoga acting in Krishna consciousness in the 5th chapter, and Ashtanga Yoga in the 6th chapter, the eightfold mystic yoga practice. Right. And then at the end of this chapter, he talks about this highest form of yoga, and thus leading Arjuna to the next 6 chapters, chapter 7 to chapter 12, which is complete bhakti yoga, right? Complete bhakti yoga. So we'll understand, we're going to this the same time. Yeah, it's a new year. But we also going to this Bhagavad Gita series where we talked about search for happiness. We talked about who are we, the living entity, the soul. We talked about God, right? Devkin Babu nicely talked about karma last week. And then today we'll talk about we are the soul, we are God. What connects one with the other? Yoga, right? So, and the previous words of this chapter, we see, hold on for a minute. Let me also play here. Tapasvibhya adhiko yogi, jnanibhyo api mato adhika, karmibhya cha adhiko yogi, tasmad yogi bhava Arjuna. A yogi is greater than the ascetic, greater than the empiricist, and greater than the fruitive worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi. Here the yogi means a bhakti yogi. The term yoga is a Sanskrit word which comes from yuj, which means union, right? When there is a union of what? A union of individual consciousness, which is the soul, and the supreme consciousness, which is God. So union of individual consciousness with the supreme consciousness, right, is called yoga. Please let me know. I can also join your play somewhere. Yeah. The individual consciousness to the supreme consciousness is yoga. When individual consciousness is united with the supreme consciousness with fruitive activities, it is called karma yoga. Oh. Yeah. Step, yeah. Karma yoga or niskam karma, right? Which is a step 1 of the ladder, yoga ladder. Step 0 is karma kanda section, where we perform some kind of activities, but at the same time, desire results, right? So it is called Sakam Karma Yogi or Karma Kanda. Saka means we expect results in return, right? So that's why it is not completely called as Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga means Karmani Adhikarista Ma Phaleshu Kadachana, full Niskam Karma, right? Niskam karma means you're not expecting any results back in return. You are just performing your duties. So that is Niskam karma. So union of individual consciousness to the supreme consciousness by fruitive activities is called karma yoga. By philosophical speculation is called jnana yoga. By mystic yoga practices is called Ashtanga yoga. Eightfold mystic yoga practice is called Ashtanga yoga. And by devotional service is called bhakti yoga. Right? Very simple. Union, which is yoga, union of individual consciousness with the supreme consciousness. So in nutshell, what is karma yoga? With fruitive activities, karma yoga. With philosophical speculation, jnana yoga. With mystic yoga practices, Ashtanga yoga. And with devotional service, this is bhakti yoga. And Srila Prabhupada mentions yogena api sarvesham manda bhakta antaratmanam saddhavan bhajate bhajate bhaja. The word, he reflects on this word bhaja, which is different from worship. Right? Bhaja means devotional service. And that's why devotional service is not just worship. A person serves the Supreme Lord. Right? So either one can go step by step, or one can go directly. Right? So that's why bhakti yoga is preferred, that you can directly take that elevator and directly serve the Supreme Lord. Even though if you have material desires, right? We are conditioned, so we'll have material desires. So, but akam, sarvakam, moksha kama, udaradhi, right? Whether you have no desires or you have desires to enjoy good results, or you desire liberation, in all these three conditions, one is encouraged to worship the Supreme Lord. Right? One is encouraged to worship the Supreme Lord. Because throughout Bhagavad Gita, we understand through Bhagavad Gita that, oh, because he is the provider of all the results. Right? Yesterday we had a quiz as part of New Year's Eve. Avidhi Purvakam, right? Worshipping demigods is Avidhi Purvakam. Worship the Supreme Lord for everything. Right? That's proper vidhi. And that's why this entire process is called Vaidhi Bhakti. Okay, yeah. Okay. So, pure devotional service, as what we talk about, yoginam api sarvesham madhakataranta atmanam, always abide in me, right? He is freed from any material desires. In Madhya Chaitanya Chaitamrita, which is from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Anya Bhlasita Sunyam Jnana Karma Karmadi Anavritam Anukulyena Krishnanu Silanam Bhakti Uttamam. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably, right? And without desire for material profit or gain, right? Without desire for material profit or gain, through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. So it does not desire any material results, it does not desire philosophical speculation, or through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is pure devotional service. One should simply satisfy Krishna without being influenced by fruitive knowledge or fruitive activity. Right? Fully satisfy Lord Krishna. Anya Bhlasita Sunyam. No material desires. Sunya means no material desires. Not no desire. The symptom of soul is it has desires, but no material desire. Savai Pumsa, what is that verse? Paro Bhakti Yadok Sati Ahituki apratiyata, yayatma suprasiditi. Ahituki apratiyata. Unalloyed, uninterrupted devotional service. That is the goal. That is the goal of human life. Somebody asks us, what is our goal? Savai pumsa parodharmo, yato bhakti adoksaja. Right? One should worship adoksaja. Adoksaja is Krishna. One should worship adoksaja. And when we talk about New Year, which brings resolutions, right? Our resolution should be that, oh, that Lord, that's why we chant. What do we chant? In the Aarti, we were chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And in that chant, what are we trying to do? We are submitting to Hare, which is the energy of the Supreme Lord. Right? Srimati Radharani. That please engage me in the service of the Lord. That please engage me in the service of the Lord. Oh Hare, oh energy of the Supreme Lord, please engage me in the service of the Lord. That is the meaning of Hare Krishna. So, yeah. In the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj mentions this Navda Bhakti, 9 processes of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dashyam, Shakhyam, Atma, Nivedanam. Where he says, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Krishna, remembering them, right? Serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. In other words, serving him with the body, mind, and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. Right? One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. Right? These 9 processes. And we hear that even if you perfect one, we can go back to Godhead. And we have examples. Shravanam, Parikshit Maharaj continuously heard 7 days and nights Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukdev Goswami. And he went back to Godhead. Shukdev Goswami was continuously reciting for 7 days. Kirtanam, Srimad Bhagavatam, he went back to Godhead. Right? Similarly, we have Vishnu Smaranam. Right? Prahlad Maharaj, always thinking about the Supreme Lord. Vishnu Smaranam. Right? Archanam. We have Pitu Maharaj. Vandanam, Dhruva Maharaj. Right? Dashyam, Hanumanji. Shakhyam, Arjuna. Right? And Atma Nivedanam. And Atma Nivedanam, Bali Maharaj. Right? Bali Maharaj. So they perfected one from devotional service and they went back to Godhead. And we have example of Amrish Maharaj, who performed all these 9 processes of devotional service. Right? And he perfected. He was a king. So one cannot say that, oh, I am working so I cannot perform this. No. Right. If our mind, body, and words are continuously, that's why we'll talk about today, is with mind, body, and words, if you always think about the Supreme Lord, then whatever activity you may be performing in the material world, you are in the liberated state of mind. Right? Whatever activity you may perform, right? Our focus is Krishna in the center of our life. That should be our full focus. Krishna as the center of our life. Right. So in Bhagavad Gita, 8th verse of the 12th chapter, it's mentioned, just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. Let's also read the Sanskrit of that. Mai eva mana adatsva mai buddhim niveshaya nimasishya mai eva ata urdhvam na sansaya. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. Right? Fixing our mind. There's so many different ways people try to fix their mind, right? And Lord Krishna himself to Arjuna in the beginning of the chapter is explaining, when he starts explaining about Ashtanga Yoga process of Yam, Niyam, Asan, right? All this eightfold process. Arjuna mentions that, oh, Chanchalahi Mana Krishna, mind is so chanchal that it's very difficult to control. I can control the wind with my bow, Gandiva, but mind is very difficult to control. Right? Mind is very difficult to control. So how do we focus our mind? Right? And Krishna replies in the next verse itself in Bhagavad Gita. Abhyas yogena kaunteya, by continuously practicing. By continuously practicing. So the process which Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, provided us with, especially in this age of coronal hypocrisy, where our mind is continuously bombarded at each and every moment by sense gratification. Continuously bombarded. The easiest process for this age is chanting the holy name of the Lord and focusing our mind, not just chanting, but focusing on our mind in the sound vibration which comes from that chant. Right? The sound vibration which comes from that chant, right? So let's try to focus our mind fully. You can have a practical demonstration of that, where try to close your earlobe with your one of the fingers, and with me chant and try to focus on the sound vibration which comes from your chant. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that vibration which comes, if you just focus your mind on that, right? Because that is not a material vibration, it's the sound vibration of the holy name of the Lord, which is spiritual, right? The name of the Lord is non-different than the Lord himself. Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, right? What is that? Puna Suddha Nitya Mukta Abhinatam Nama Naminaha. Nama and Naminaha, they're not different, right? So, fully focusing our mind on that sound vibration is the easiest process mentioned for this particular age, right? Just fix your mind upon me. Here, Lord is mentioning, just fix your mind upon me and engage all your intelligence in me, right? And the Lord is assuring, thus you will always live in me, always without a doubt. Right. In this is words from Padma Puran, which is also mentioned in Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Chaitamrita. Smartavyam satatam Vishnu, vismartavya na jatuchit, sarve vidhi nishideshu, etav eva kinkaraha. Lord Vishnu, Krishna is the origin of Vishnu, should always be remembered and never forgotten at any time. Lord Krishna should never be forgotten at any time. All the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Shastras should be the servants of these two principles. Which were the two principles? Which question? Always remember Krishna is first principle. And second principle is never forget Krishna. Right. Easy two principles. Always remember Krishna. Second principle, never forget Krishna. Right. Then all the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Shastras are subordinate to these two. Oh, I cannot chant without taking a bath. It's subordinate to these two. Right. I cannot chant here, I cannot chant there. No. Those rules are there that you cannot perform these without a bath, you cannot perform these without this, you cannot perform these when you are in an inauspicious time. Chanting, there is no prohibitions. You can chant at any time, anywhere. Right. So thinking about the Lord, one can think about the Lord at each and every moment. Right. Yeah. Okay. So, like, keep one slide probably. Yeah. In this Shravanam Kirtana Vishnu Smaranam, in the purport, it's a long purport in the Srimad Bhagavatam. You can all read that. It's such a wonderful, huge purport, where Srila Prabhupada is explaining about each and every aspect of this devotional service. What is Shravanam, what is Kirtanam, what is Vishnu Smaranam. Right. So in that, Srila Prabhupada quotes this. Etan nirvidyam manam ichchatam akuta bhayam yoginam nipaninitam hare namanu kirtanam. O King, for great yogis who have completely renounced all material connections, for those who desire all material enjoyment, and for those who are self-satisfied, by dint of transcendental knowledge, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord is recommended. According to different relationships with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are varieties of Namanu Kirtanam, chanting of the holy name. And thus, according to different relationships and mellows, there are 5 kinds of remembering. So we are talking about Vishnu Smaranam. So there are 5 kinds of remembering. Which are those 5 kinds of remembering? Conducting research into the worship of a particular form of the Lord. Right? We all are attracted to one worship of a particular form of the Lord. Somebody is attracted to, oh, I just want to worship Bal Gopal. Right? Somebody is attracted, I want to worship Shri Radha Krishna. I want to worship Shri Gaurnita. I want to worship, oh, no. All this is, I just want to worship Lord Jagannath. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. Right? So we are attracted. So conduct a research into the worship of a particular form of the Lord, that to which that's your Ishtadev that you are most attracted to. Right? That you are most attracted to. And concentrate the mind on one subject and withdrawing the mind's activities of thinking, feeling, and willing from all other subjects. Mind wants to think of so many things, right? It just does not want to limit to one subject. Oh, what about my promotion? What about my savings? What about my this? What about my that? What about my that? They said concentrate the mind on only one subject and withdraw the mind's activities of thinking, feeling, and willing from all other subjects. Right. So when you are chanting the holy name of the Lord, one of the offenses is inattentive chanting, right? So do not let your mind distract other subjects. Just focus on one subject, chanting the holy name of the Lord and meditating on the sound vibration of the holy name, right? Then concentrate upon a particular form of the Lord. This is called meditation. Particular form of the Lord. Concentrate upon a particular form of the Lord. Concentrating one's mind continuously on the form of the Lord, it's called Dhruva Anusmriti or perfect meditation. And awakening a likening for concentration upon a particular form. This is called Samadhi or trance. So these are the 5 levels of remembering Vishnu Smaranam. So mental concentration upon particular pastimes of the Lord in particular circumstances is called remembrance. Therefore, Samadhi, trance can be possible in 5 different ways in terms of one's relationship. Specifically, the trance of devotees on the stage of neutrality is called mental concentration. And then Lord Kapila, in his instructions to Devahuti, especially in the 3rd canto, 28th chapter, is mentioning how to concentrate on various limbs of the Lord's body. How to concentrate on various limbs of the Lord's body, right? Mother Kunti, in her prayers in the 1st canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? What is that verse? Namo Pankajanabhaya, Namo Pankajamalini, Namo Pankajanetraya, Namaste Pankajangrahe. So she meditates on the navel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then she meditates on the neck, then she meditates on the eyes, then she meditates on the lotus feet of the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport of that particular verse mentions very clearly, she is meditating on the navel because she is related to Krishna in the form of an ant, like a mother. So she can meditate on the navel. But we should begin with meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord and then going up. So when you come to the temple, right, so first thing which we do is offer obeisances. Before even offering obeisances to Supreme Lord, we offer the obeisances to the assembled devotees. Then we offer obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. Then, taking their permission, we come here to offer obeisances to the Supreme Lord. Right? And instead of directly looking at their eyes, first of all, focus on the feet. Then slowly go up. And there are various slides which are put together by, this is put together by Bhaktivedanta Vidyapit about, this is from 3rd canto, 28th chapter, verse 13 to 18. Description of the Lord's form for performing meditation or dharana. So like focus on the Lord's when heart filled with pure emotions, one should meditate on the pastimes of the Lord in the spiritual world, dhyan. Then fix the mind on each individual limb of the Lord, right? Lotus feet, right? Lotus feet of the Lord. What comes from the lotus feet of the Lord? The Ganges from the spiritual realm comes down as soon as in the pastime of Vamandev, right? And the second step itself penetrates the material world to the spiritual world, right? So there, Lord Brahma washes the feet of the Lord. Right. And while penetrating that, the Ganges from the spiritual realm trickles down. And Lord Shiva holds it on his forehead. Right. And there's the entire pastime of like Bhagirath and the deliverance of the sons of Sagara, right, in Srimad Bhagavatam. There's pastimes of that. So that the lotus feet of the Lord, we were discussing in the Gita Mahatmya that verse. Does anybody remember that verse? No. Gita Gangodakam Pitva Punarjanmana Vidyate, right? This is the fifth verse. Fifth verse. Right. So yes, the each and every form of the Lord is non-different than the other. Each and every limbs of the Lord is non-different than the other. But still, literally, we can say that, okay, the Ganges comes from the lotus feet of the Lord. But the Bhagavad Gita comes from the lips of the Lord. Right. It comes from the lips of the Lord. So drinking the nectar of Bhagavad Gita, the importance of that is considered much higher than taking bath in the Ganges water. Right. That's focusing on the lotus feet. Then the calves of the Lord from the lotus feet going upwards, where Lakshmi Devi is constantly massaging. Then the thighs and the hips of the Lord. Then the navel and nipples of the Lord. Now, in such description, then the chest and neck of the Lord, arms of the Lord, the mala, kamodaki, and kastuba jewel, and the money on the neck of the Lord. Then the lotus face of the Lord. Are we in sync? Arms. Oops. It went very fast. Lotus face of the Lord. Then the eyes and the glands of the Lord. So these are all the words from same 3rd canto, 28th words. And the smile and eyes of the Lord, laughter of the Lord, right? Yeah. So what happens to that yogi who meditates on these different limbs of the Lord? That's mentioned from 34th to 38th verse of that particular chapter. The yogi develops love or of God. Mind gets detached from material contamination. So we were talking about how to focus the mind, right? So mind gets detached from material contamination. Yogi realizes relationship with the Lord. Shri Radha Shyam Sundar ki jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Shri Pancha Tattva ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. He achieves his real identity, and Lord takes charge of the body of that sadhaka. Lord takes charge of the body. Right. So that's the state. And he understands himself different from the body, that Bhagwan is different from Jiva, and so seeing super soul in all and all in super soul, right? He sees in each and every living entity the super soul. And the pure spirit soul manifests in different bodies. After conquering Maya, yogi is self-realized. So that's the process where he completely controls his mind, right? This is mentioned by Lord Kapila to Devahuti by meditating on each and every limb of the Lord. But we are recommended that just meditate on the sound vibration of the Lord, the name of the Lord. Because in the name of the Lord, Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu, in Upadeshamrita it mentions that in the name of the Lord, the form of the Lord is included. The qualities of the Lord is included. Right? Everything is included in the name itself. So focus on the name of the Lord. Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu Smityo Kramena. Right? So one should, especially in this day and age, focus on chanting of the holy name of the Lord as the process of liberation, of fully controlling our mind. Right. But Srila Prabhupada introduced that with chanting of the holy name of the Lord also, so that because we are not used to chanting of the holy name of the Lord, also focus on hearing, right, reading the instructions of the Lord in form of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, seeing the form of the Lord. So that's why he recommended all his household devotees that they should have a deity at their home. Seeing the form of the Lord, worshipping them, right? So everything is included, the chanting, the hearing, the reading the books of the Lord, right? That's why we stress the book distribution, especially in last month of December Marathon, right? Okay, are there any questions, discussions? Yes.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Wonderful description of this verse and then the whole yoga process. This question, Prabhuji, that on the verse 40, the previous verse, so Krishna is saying that become a yogi, and then in the next verse he's saying yogi namapi sarvesam, among all the yogis. So question is, Prabhuji, that these other yoga processes, if you can elaborate that, are they also taking you to Supreme Lord? Because you said that, yoga, yuj, it comes from yuj, that means union. So that's the question, Prabhuji.
The question, other yoga also taking us to the Supreme Lord. Like, it's a ladder, right? One way is that I want to reach to the ceiling, I climb each and every step of the ladder. So that's the other different yoga processes. Or karma yoga, I perform, then jnana yoga, I perform. Karma yoga, ultimately, what do we understand from karma yoga? Mahi sarvani karmani, right? That ultimately everything is surrender to the Supreme Lord, Mada Arpanam, right? Mada Arpanam. But we don't have any conception of the Supreme Lord in the Karma Yoga platform. We know that there is a Lord, that I have to perform duty for the Lord, and we perform it without any results, right? Yat karosi yad asnasi yat josi dadasi yat tapasyasi kauntya sat kurusha Mada Arpanam, right? But we don't have clear knowledge of that Mada Arpanam of the Lord. But then we start thinking with philosophical speculation. Neti, is this Lord? Oh, Lord will be the ocean, Lord will be the sky, Lord will be this, Lord will be that. That comes in the Jnana Yoga platform. Then comes the Ashtanga Yoga platform. So, Karma Yoga, right? It comes where we don't really have conception of the Supreme Lord. The perfection of Jnana Yoga, we see the Lord is present everywhere, the all-pervasive aspect of the Lord. Ashtanga Yoga, perfection of Ashtanga Yoga is we see the Lord in each and everybody's heart as Paramatma. So the Lord is realized in three phases, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. the all-pervasive aspect, like the sun rays are the all-pervasive aspect of the sun globe. The sun globe, which is the localized aspect of the sun, and the sun god, which is the controller of the sun. Right. So the Bhakti Yoga takes us to directly understanding the Bhagavan aspect of the Supreme Lord. The other forms of yoga slowly will take us. Bhaunam janma te jnanavan mam prapadyate. After many, many births, a jnani comes to the understanding that ultimately everything is coming from Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Sa Mahatma Dulabha. So he comes to that understanding. But a Bhakti Yogi directly comes to that understanding. So that's why the Bhakti Yogi is considered as someone going step by step and someone taking an elevator. Right? Direct process. Is that okay? Okay. Are there any other discussion? So we'll, yeah, time's up. We'll end here. Haribo.